Okay, so we are live. All right, so welcome everyone to a new episode of the Women's Empowerment Series. This is a very special episode because I have with me an incredible guest. I am so honored and so happy to have you, LiYing, and it is just an honor. You are a star in the work you do. You are an incredible woman, combining energetics and knowledge and just speaking from your heart to empower women around the world, to empower really everyone using your background and heritage. Welcome, LiYing.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for such a warm welcome. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to dive deep.
Me too. And let us know where you're connecting from. Hello, I see already people joining us. We are live streaming in different platform. If you are with us live, let us know. We want to greet you. If you're watching us on replay, just hashtag replay. And LiYing and myself will be so happy to answer to any of your questions. So let's get started. I have with me a star who's been recognized by Bazaar, by all those magazines around the world for the work that she does. And I'm quite impressed. And I cannot wait to give you the stage to introduce yourself. So please tell us about you, LiYing.
Thank you so much again. And yes, if you all have any questions, like honestly, just comment, just share it. There's nothing that is out of bounds or too crazy for me at all. Um, I am LiYing. I guess that's what I go by. That's my name here in this dimension.
Mhm.
What I really love to share is my work with the liminal space, as I call it, with the divine. One of the things that I like to talk about is that because of my experience in terms of how I came from a really um, disempowered space where I thought my entire life is dependent on what my external circumstances are to
Mhm.
where I am today, right now. It is important for me to also share this sacred medicine with the world, to especially to women, because we are absolutely multidimensional, and it is our journey here on Earth, I truly believe, to really embody our multidimensionality. And when I say that, what I really mean is that we can absolutely be connected to something that is so much bigger than who we are and what we are here. But at the same time, we are also the creator of our lives. We can
Mhm.
embody that cosmic magnificence and
Mhm.
project that out into the reality. And as we do that, just by being us, the true, authentic self that we are, we can create an impact. We can change the world. So that is quite amazing when we really land on that power that we have inside of us. So
This is so
that's kind
beautiful.
of where I'm
Mhm.
at. Go
Yeah,
for it.
but this is amazing because this is you speaking with that with so much maturity and wisdom and understanding. What it's true, it's like, and my question, and I know a lot of people ask that, is that how do you get to that stage where you actually can understand and feel somehow your connection with the bigger force? Whether it is the divinity, the infinite intelligence. What is that moment where you start feeling that transition? How did it
Mm.
happen for you, LiYing?
Wow, I love that question.
Mhm.
When I was well, if I could name a moment that happened, it was that one moment in 2019 actually, where I've come from a really long way of zero self-worth and being in hi Emily you're so happy. uh, where would sorry I'll just go
It's
back.
okay. I wanted to, shout out at her. We're so excited to have her with us live.
No. um
Mhm.
the one moment I can pin down is a moment that changed my life forever. But I also want to share that I've never I didn't grow up this way. You know, I wasn't in a family of seers and mystics. I didn't come from that.
Mm,
I grew up in a very standard Chinese family.
mm,
My dad had a high regard for our ancestral lineage, so we've always been connected into the traditions and the language itself. I speak Mandarin and Cantonese along with English and all the
mm.
other languages that we've been raised in Malaysia. I am originally from Malaysia. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so Muslim
You're
country.
originally, yeah, that's why you speak all these languages.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Incredible.
it was a very split identity, I think, growing up because, you know, we would be considered as immigrants in a country that is a largely Muslim country.
That's right.
But we've always had the freedom to be, you know, Chinese in that way, right? So
And be respected for it, right? For
yeah,
your culture.
exactly, exactly.
Mm,
But at the
mm,
same time, I remember growing up thinking like, you know, if I were to return home, where would home be? You know, and I think it's such a star seed, multidimensional question because I think
mhm.
when I was asking that question, now that I look back in hindsight, I really believe I was asking a question of like, where exactly is my home? And
Yeah.
for a long time, I was going through life where I felt like I didn't have a home. Like I didn't know, you know, and for right now I can tell you home is here, right
Is
here.
here, is where you are.
It's
Hmm.
right here.
Incredible.
And
Mhm.
it's funny because that one moment, as I was saying, you know, that I can pin down as the moment that everything changed was I was coming out of a recovery from anorexia. I struggled
Okay.
with eating disorders and
Mm,
anorexia for about 10 years of my life.
okay.
Um,
Mm,
and just about, you know, when I was fully recovered and I was really on this devotional path of meditating every day and really having all my Kundalini awakening and the life force was coming through me. I was having all these downloads. I was really
yes.
floating in space. Like I wasn't grounded. I was like, I'm having all these amazing sensations.
Mhm.
But I also live like another reality where I was going to work 9 to 5 at a media company in Hong Kong
Wow.
at the time. And I was just so off centered. And so
Yeah.
I kind of asked in one of my meditations, I asked the universe, I was like, can you show me a sign? I feel like there's so much more to this. Can you just show me something, a way out?
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
and it came in an invitation to a tea ceremony. And that
Wow.
was it. You know, I went to the tea ceremony with no expectations. I
So
went
you,
as
but you were living in Hong Kong at that moment, yeah? Okay.
yes.
And
So
how
I was sent, I basically, you know, I get thousands of invitations working in media. And
of
I
course.
had
Mm.
the invitation, I was like, you know, I love tea, so why not? So, and I
Mhm.
went there, and, you know, the first moment I went in was that, oh, this is not like the average tea ceremony that you usually think it would be. It wasn't like the Japanese way of tea ceremony, but it was
Mm.
something a lot more ancestral and ancient. And it
Mm.
actually, now that I've studied the way and I'm a Chadao ceremonial keeper myself now, um,
Mm.
it was a moment that reminded me of my ancestral roots so
Wow.
deeply.
Yeah.
And I remember having the first bowl served to me that
Mhm.
it called up so many of the spirits of my ancestors, especially my grandmother who passed
Yeah.
many years ago. And I
Mhm.
still have so much regret because I wasn't the best granddaughter. But in that
Yes.
moment, she
No.
spoke to me.
Mm.
Yeah. And in that moment as well, I remember thinking and not even thinking, it was just like a feeling like, oh, this is what home feels like. I
Yeah.
finally feel home.
You're at home.
And
It's like all the emotions
yeah,
came to.
definitely. And that was the first time I connected with tea spirit as well. And
Mm.
I was being told that you have to go out and serve tea. And I
Uh-huh.
remember it was very specific. It was you have to drop everything you know and go and serve tea. So
Wow.
that
Wow.
was a mandate, right, basically. And that was it. That was 2019.
Mhm.
Um, at the same time as I allowed myself to come into this work. And I really do want to share this because I know so many women have gone through this where you thought you knew everything about your life. You know, at that time when I was working in Hong Kong, I thought I would
Mm.
be an editor for my entire life. I thought I would be working in media forever and I would settle down in Hong Kong and get a visa
Mm.
there, things like that. But it didn't happen that way. And I met my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time,
Mhm.
and he was Scottish. Well, he is Scottish. And so he
Mhm.
asked me at the time, at the same time, when I allowed tea to be in my life, when I allowed myself to start to be the apprentice, to learn the way of tea, he asked me, "Do you want to move to Scotland?" And I was
And do
like,
that.
"Oh, yeah." And in hindsight, I'm like, I didn't even think too much about it. I was just like, just go, let's go. And
You just start
20,
following your intuition, actually, whatever yeah.
I think I
Or
was
any just guidance that just comes from somewhere.
it
Yeah.
is almost like a ping, and also I remember thinking like a lot of changes will happen, right? But I didn't imagine it would be like a 2020 change, right? For the
Oh
entire
yeah, but
world.
that's the whole world didn't know, right? Because 2020 is like everything changed.
Exactly.
But you know
Exactly.
what's incredible, Ling, is that I know for sure that everyone somehow was synchronized with that change, and it happened also in his own life or her own life, and just like you, right? Because that very shift happened for the whole world, so it was almost meant for you as well, right? It's like
Exactly.
wings carrying you to another phase in your life.
Exactly. I think one of the things that's why I'm so passionate about what I do today is because if I didn't, and I would always say this, it's like if I didn't honor the ping, as I call it, like if I didn't honor the voice that spoke to me and gave me the message, like we could
Mhm.
all have divine messages come through
Me too.
us. We could all have that intuitive hit. But if you don't follow through, if you don't take that action that is required of you, you will still stay the same. You will still stay in a place where you're not, you know, you feel
And
like
how,
you're not being supported,
and
right?
I think this is where the unfulfilled means really,
Yes.
because that's exactly what it is. Because you can stay, right? You said it so well. You're well paid, you're in Hong Kong, you're in the
Mm.
most excited place in the world,
Yeah.
and you giving up that. But
Yeah.
it takes, what does it take? What did it take beside, being so spiritual? Because you need to be that and having the courage.
It's funny you say that because I've never really seen myself as a spiritual person, even though
You
I think it's funny because when I was going through my eating disorders, like I still remember thinking like, oh, nothing is here to support me. Like I have to do this on my own. Like nobody
Mm.
loves me. If I let them love me, I have to
Mm.
work really hard to earn the love. But
Oh,
when I recovered,
yeah.
my perspective shifted drastically. And I really want to share this because a lot of times we say like I intellectually read all these books and on spirituality and mysticism, but I'm not living it, right? Like I see so many women coming to my world to say that, and I want to say that it's because we don't have the embodiment of that. We haven't been taught to embody that. We all are such intelligent women, but if we can only intellectually get it, it's not landing in here. And so for me, what gave me that courage, I suppose, at that time was because at that point I was fully recovered from anorexia, and I had this practice of yoga, and I have meditation every night. When I finish my work, I go into that space where I was building a lot of life force in me.
Mhm.
And what I mean is that once you're working together, like your mind and your body and spirit are working together, that's when you start to have perspectives that are a lot more expanded. That's when you start to
Mhm.
feel things in your body again, right? Because
Mhm.
if you don't confront or you don't embrace those parts of you that you feel shameful about,
Yes,
um,
shameful. Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
or what I call subconscious dissonance, because
Mhm.
if you have a dissonance that say, okay, well, if I need to take this chance in my life, I need to make sure I know everything about like my success rate, right? If you have
Mm.
that dissonance, that's almost like saying, this is my survival mechanism. I need to know this. I need to know he's gonna marry me before I move there.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a mechanism of making sure you're
Of
not gonna.
defense, you block yourself. You kind of,
Yes.
I
So
mean, you
that
block
you're
yourself.
kind of keeping yourself
Mm.
small, right?
Yeah. 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 And
So
you, and you miss out on things.
yes. Well, here's the thing. I honestly believe is that we don't miss out in the sense of like it's gone, but
Mhm.
always have the chance coming back to us. It's like I always say the Tao, because I study the way of tea and I'm such a devotee of the Tao,
Okay.
which we can talk a little bit more about,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, I want you to explain that because I'm
Yeah,
sure not everyone listen and we
yeah,
understand us, right? Because we're
yeah,
like,
exactly.
we that we speak a lot with executives, with people in the business world, and female leaders today is like professionals, right? Hype, and we kind of disconnect from that. So yeah, let's explain
Mhm.
what's it now. What does it mean?
Oh, I
Mhm.
love to get into this. So, I believe that as women, we have the power of what we call emotions, and I think we've been conditioned for so long to say that, oh, we need to act like a man in the world of
Oh yeah,
roles and
dress
leadership.
like a man,
Exactly,
absolutely.
right?
Suits.
But I feel like you would absolutely agree with me, my love, is that the emotions that we have is actually a
Mhm.
powerful vehicle for us to move forward in this world, and actually we have that advantage as women,
Mhm.
because if we can see the emotions as something that is like a signpost, it's like telling
Mhm.
us that there is something here that you can look at and alchemize. We can align back to the original version of who we are, which is the truth, which is the original spirit, which is the powerful leader that you truly are, the light that you are. When I speak in the way that I speak, it took me a long time to come in and say share things in the way that I do, because I used to think that people wouldn't understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But I truly believe that even when I'm using words that are new, like Tao, maybe you've never heard of it, there's an energetic frequency behind it that you can feel, because
Mm.
Tao actually is a word to just describe something that is infinite. You can call it the universe, you can call it the high being, the highest self. You can
I love
call
that.
it
I
God,
love
even
that.
for some people.
Yeah. And
Um,
then you say Tao. It's like even the sound of it.
yeah, it's a water course way, as they can.
Yes.
If you want to describe it, it's the water course way of how the natural laws are manifested.
Yeah.
And so it exists in everything, it exists in all of us. And in the greater aspect of what it means is that this is a place of limitless potential. This is a place of infinite possibilities, right? And that is who we really are. That is who we really are. And we want to embody that in this dimension. So that is what I help women to do. And
I love
many
that.
things can happen when you do that. You can shift perspectives, and your marriage is going to be different, your relationships will be different, your career is going to take off because of the way you have shifted your presence,
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
frequency. That's it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
it.
because it's all energetics. So you
Exactly.
actually work with the energetics, how you can help them align with the frequency of what they want to have, how they want to live, and it's all energetics. Yeah.
Yes, and I think maybe some of you are familiar with the words feminine energetics, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I think there is so much focus on that because we have been conditioned not to, we don't even know what it is, right? Because we've been so conditioned to work in a masculine driven way.
We think it shouldn't even be that. So we do everything so that we don't look that feminine.
It's funny, it's interesting, and I would love to deepen into this conversation as well. Like, I feel like there are so many women who feel that once I get into the feminine energetics of things, then things will work slower. But I
Yes.
think that is
It's
such a
faster.
belief as well. It's just a coding, like it's just a belief that
Mm.
when I am feminine and I'm in the feminine energetics of receiving, then money will come to me slower or success will come to me slower. But I really believe that when we drop into our fullest expression, which is our feminine side, right, that
Mhm.
is born within us, that is when we can take that aspect of us
Mm.
and go forth and make the aligned decisions, to make the
Yeah.
aligned actions that are backed by this energetics. You see what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
It is
do.
not
I
something you
do.
just throw a dart or throw spaghetti on the wall and you
And
know
hope that it's gonna be stick there. Yeah. I
yeah,
see that.
yeah.
So how do you mix that with the tea ceremony? How do
Mm.
you build that bridge between the tea ceremony and the empowerment of women and everyone that you work with?
Perfect
Okay.
question. I love
Mm.
that. So one of the things I love to say is that tea and Zen are one flavor. And that is why tea has been used for so many centuries by
Mm.
Taoist sages, mystics, Zen monks, even Japanese samurais, and
Mm.
used as a ritual to train their minds, to drop from
Mm.
the mind into their heart, into what we call the stillness, that
Mhm.
we start to feel the wisdom arise from there,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
when I work with women who truly desire to be multidimensional leaders, who truly desire to live in their authentic power and
Mhm.
express themselves fully, this is the stillness that I start with, and I it's something that I work with throughout our entire journey together. Why
Okay.
is that? Because in the stillness, something arises in a way that the logical mind can never create. It
Wow.
never
This
create that.
is so powerful.
Yeah,
And it is so true.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know
And when
what's
I
interesting,
talk about,
Ling?
yeah,
Is
sorry.
that you're speaking about this and about the tea. In this part of the world, we also have tea
Yes,
ceremony, not in the same way, but we have them. And
yes.
and in some areas, it takes time to pour the tea, to change it, to throw it.
Mhm.
And now that you say how tea is connected with the Zen, it's like the taste of Zen. I love it how you say it. I think it's true. It's just so perfect because that's what it is. There is a relaxation and it just feeling good
Mm,
vibe with it.
yeah,
That
yeah,
it's just incredible. And it's also community, it's coming together, it's
yes,
sharing, it's belonging, that
yes.
feeling of belonging.
Absolutely. And there
Mm.
is zero judgment in a tea space. That is what we always.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Zero judgment with it. In which sense? In when that if somebody doesn't do it properly, or
I love this. I love this. You're like my kind of person, obviously. I love this because it is
because we feel
something.
the same too.
It is
Sometimes it
amazing.
doesn't taste good.
I love it. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. Um,
Yeah.
I love that you asked that question because it is truly what exactly tea is. It is exactly what cha dao is. Cha dao in English is the way of tea.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a saying that I always remember in my heart. It's this: you can drink tea and you won't have the way, or you may practice the way but you don't drink tea. And what that means is that we can drink tea as a beverage. We can drink tea as just like a hobby or something you drink at your desk when you're working in the office.
Yeah.
That's
Without
totally
even
cool.
knowing what you're drinking, you just kind of
Yeah,
drink it. Yeah.
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 So that's like you doing things without being present to the moment, right?
Yeah.
And there's zero judgment of that. Zero. As a ceremonial keeper, I get asked this question a lot. It's like, do you mind if I just drink like tea bag or whatever? I'm
Yeah.
like, I honestly don't mind at all,
Yeah.
right? I don't mind. If you say that you are if you do walk the way, as we
Mm.
say it, that what that means is that tea becomes an embodied way of living.
Mm.
So tea, like I said, going back to tea and Zen are one flavor. If you
Mm.
practice Cha Dao, you're cultivating stillness. You're creating a space for the Zen state of mind. You're embodying the way. So tea becomes you, you become tea. Tea
Mm.
itself is an adaptogenic. So that means she loves humans. Unlike other plant medicine, you don't have to cleanse yourself or go into a forest or whatever to have her. She loves being with us, and she actually becomes even more beautiful in the hands of human
Mm.
beings. We it doesn't the alchemy is complete when a human
Yeah.
being brings the leaf into their hands, and with the
Mhm.
artisanship,
Mm.
with the tea and the flavor, the aroma, the chi, it brings
Lives
you
in you.
remembering. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's like
like
there.
you
It's like
remember,
alive
right?
on its
You
own.
remember, you even like as simple as someone who doesn't do ceremonies, they can remember the feeling of their grandmother, or like, oh, my childhood, or something about
Yes.
the way they do it,
Yeah.
right? Like even you were saying,
Yeah. It's like the gesture,
yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
yeah. So there's something about
Incredible.
that.
Mm. I
I
love that.
just,
Look at this. We have a nice comment here.
I know.
Tea Spirit, she loves humans. This is incredible to hear how you describe the beauty of Tea Spirit and humans.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. She loves humans.
Mm.
There are so many myths about mythology that surrounds her. There is a tribe in China, as we know it now, but back in the days, just in the mountains that borders Vietnam. It's called Yunnan, and the people there believe that they were born from tea, and they still
Yeah,
call themselves
really.
people. Yeah, so it's
How
not
do they call themselves? Say that again.
they
How?
they they call themselves tea people. So Charan is like
People.
tea people. Like
Really?
we were born from tea, and
It's incredible. You mentioned that, I worked at the World Bank, and the first countries I was working on was Southeast Asia. So I was traveling a lot to Vietnam, to Malaysia, to Thailand, all those countries.
oh,
And I felt such a peace in Vietnam. Just people so peaceful and smiling. And they had absolutely nothing. Now that we're talking about, relativity and how poverty, and like this is extreme nothing. But they had a peace in their mind, in the way you see them and their smile.
mm,
I've never seen that nowhere in the world. And up to now, I still remember those people and the smiles and so happy they were. They were so happy to see us. And
I
that's
love that.
and I
And that
think
is the spirit of tea embodied.
yes.
This is the one thing
You
that
find the same thing here, this part of the world as well, because we have that spirit of tea that lives with us
yeah.
everywhere. My child, they learned how to make tea early on, right?
Oh
And
wow.
and my son, I was, seeing him 2 days ago, just like taking the time to pour it back and forth. I'm like, wow.
There you
Uh,
go.
and yeah,
It
and it's
really
just
is something I found has allowed me to release my overthinking mind once and for all. And I think
mm,
that's why it's such a potent medicine when I work with women who are leaders in their own field, who are amazing, incredible pioneers. Because we do have that human side, right? We have the human side of what if this doesn't happen, or like this is never good enough, or I am not good enough. Like all of these things actually, they get to be released in the space of being with tea and working with
mm,
tea spirit in the ceremony like this allows them to have that wisdom rise through themselves, like in their own body, and then
yes,
something just starts to warm them up and their perspective starts to shift. And if I can say it in a very Chinese medicinal way, is that qi is your qi connecting with all your spirits, and the Tao itself is realized through you, and
yeah,
that is what it
wow,
is. So it's very, very relevant to the modern way of living. It's not something that is set in the ancient times and it's totally incongruent with how we live. It's like you said, what you said is actually precisely what the tea spirit embodies, is that
mm,
every day is a good day, everything happens in our favor,
yes,
and we can see the extraordinary in the ordinary. That's when this amount I earn is enough. That's when this
mm,
career is an evolution. I don't
yes,
need to
yes.
reach and achieve something to mean.
Mm,
Like that's when we drop the external validation. That's when
mm.
we love ourselves because
I love that.
feel
This
it.
is so beautiful. And that is why you can fill your heart with gratitude.
Yes.
Is it what we want? And if every moment, because tea ceremony is on a daily
Yeah.
basis, a normal thing to do because you just can't stay without tea.
Yeah.
And it's a moment where you can connect it with gratitude of just being. Of
When you
s-
connect with gratitude, it is a portal that opens up for you to co-create with the universe.
Absolutely. Mm. Mm. This is so powerful.
I
Oh,
I love it. Yeah,
I
this
love it too. I think this conversation is just so fascinating. We absolutely need a part two for this because this is so good. No, but what's beautiful is that, is how we connect, right? Because we are all connected somehow around
yes.
this tea. The whole world, I mean, the whole planet. It's just it
Oh,
has arrived to different places.
you touch on something again that's so so tea, like you literally probably are the embodiment of tea spirit that you don't even know of, right?
Yeah.
Like you, what you spoke of is exactly it. When
Yeah.
we come into a ceremony, actually, when you are in a chadao
Mm.
practice, when you're cultivating that relationship with tea that way, right? In that sacred reverence, you are actually connecting with everyone, everyone who's
Yeah.
drinking tea. You're connecting with all those who came before us, and you're connecting with all those who are coming after us. Do you know how that feels like when you really drop into that feeling? Like it's like, wow, I'm here to create an impact. I'm so sacred. I
Yes.
need to go and do what I'm here to do. And that is what fires us up. It's what really gives us a meaning. It brings us to the next level so that we're
Yes.
not caught in that small little box of just thinking, "Ooh, who am I today? Or I'm not good enough or whatever," right? That really is a felt sense in you
Mm.
that is embodied.
Yeah.
So,
It's like you're part of something bigger than you, so big. And
definitely.
it's sacred because it's so sacred. You feel sacred and you have that little piece. This
Yeah.
is so beautiful. Mm. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your beauty,
So,
and all this knowledge about tea because we are all connected. And I think this is amazing. And that's what I love about this Women Empowerment series is that we find ourselves all the same.
yeah,
And I want every woman to see that everyone has something so powerful to share and something so meaningful when it comes from inside and from within, and we truly believe in.
absolutely.
Mm.
Thank you so much for having this conversation. It's a
Mhm.
very, very important thing
What
to.
would you like to say to before we close today? Last.
Um, I want to say that I truly believe that, there's this Japanese Zen saying, Ichigo Ichie, one chance, one encounter. I truly believe that if you were here today to hear this conversation and be with us, there's a reason. There's always a reason. It's no coincidence. We cross
Mhm.
paths. So if you hear T Spirit calling, there's something that's in you that already recognizes her power. So
That's
honor
right.
that today. Every day is a good day.
It's a good day. This is such a beautiful, thank you so much. What a beautiful time
Thank
together. And thank you everyone for being with us. If you're watching us on replay, let us know, and we'll be very happy to reconnect. Sending you all the love.
you.
Bye bye, everyone.